Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, John. In light of President Biden's decision last week to halt needed munitions to Israel, what are President Biden's reasons for criticizing Israel, our most important ally in the Middle East, for their use of munitions in their war with Hamas in Gaza, but not criticizing Ukraine for their use of munitions in their war with Russia? And a couple of quick follow-ups.
I'm sorry, I didn't fully understand that. What exactly are you asking?
The issue is dealing with Hamas and Iran as a greatest threat, and I just was wanting to know about, the concern that many people have about the criticism of Israel.
So it is fully legitimate for the United States to be concerned about the use of certain security assets of ours in an urban and dense setting. It's as simple as that. That does not mean we do not support efforts to defeat Hamas. That does not mean we don't want to see Hamas being held accountable. But in the midst of all that, we also believe strongly that every step possible needs to be taken to minimize civilian casualties. And it is fully reasonable for the United States to feel strongly, and you heard me talk about this before, you heard the National Security Advisor say it yesterday, have concerns about certain security systems being used in dense and urban settings. And I will just say again that there is no comparison between Hamas and the security forces of Ukraine, and to even try and make that comparison is unacceptable. I will also just say that the government of Ukraine, the security forces of Ukraine, did not commit or unleash a terrorist attack on Russian forces.
Okay, a couple of quick follow-ups. Does President Biden believe that halting munitions to Israel will make it more likely for Hamas to stay in power in Gaza? And what is President Biden's response to the exaggerated Gaza death statistics provided by Hamas?
So first, we have been pretty clear that we believe a major operation into Rafah is not beneficial towards Israel's security, and it is not beneficial towards the ultimate goal of defeating Hamas. The Secretary was pretty clear about that this past weekend. We support efforts to defeat Hamas, but we continue to be in consultations with our partners in Israel about alternative ways to do that, including into Rafah. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch
what about President Biden's response to the exaggerated Gaza death statistics provided by Hamas? I know that earlier you had made a comment here about there's a question about Hamas inflating their statistics.
Let me just be pretty clear about this. This has come up a couple times today, that the facts on the ground are pretty clear. Tens of thousands of innocent civilians have lost their lives, and any number above zero is tragic, problematic, heartbreaking, and indicative of the fact that more needs to be done to protect civilians in Gaza. It is also true that we are dealing with a belligerent, Hamas, that has a track record of co-locating itself and embedding itself within civilian infrastructure. Anything else on Gaza before we close out this topic?
Sorry, but in this one, can you clarify something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the number exaggerated, or is the UN number is based on the people they can prove actually that they have identified with the birth certificate with ID, while others
so
that
I will
is the number who has not been identified.
Nadia, I will leave it to the UN and OCHA to clarify any discrepancy.
Yeah, but it's misleading from here to say it's exaggerated.
I'm not saying it's exaggerated.
Right.
Your colleague is, and frankly, that's the way that this works. You all get to say whatever you want,
Okay,
and then
good.
I have to respond, sir. We have not said what I am simply saying is that I will leave it to the UN and OCHA to offer any clarification on. I know that there's been some interest in how they've outlaid those numbers. I'll let them speak to that. What I can say, and I will just use this opportunity to reiterate it again, is that we've seen tens of thousands of civilians lose their lives, and that is unacceptable. That any number above zero is heartbreaking. We're talking about women, we're talking about children, and even those who have not lost their lives. Many are starving, living in impoverished conditions. It's unacceptable.